Welcome our two experts. We have Mayuresh Joshi of Angel Broking who joins in to answer all our stock queries, and Hemant Rustagi of Wise Invest Advisors is our personal finance expert for the afternoon. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thanks very much for joining in. We have a first caller who's already waiting by. Suvrata calls in from New Delhi. Hi, Suvrata.
Hi.
Hi, what's your question?
हाँ जी, मेरे पास पीपावाव डिफेंस के 200 शेयर हैं 60 रुपए के भाव पे।
ओके।
तो मुझे प्रॉफिट बुक करना चाहिए या अभी होल्ड करना चाहिए और बजट के लिए देखना चाहिए?
ओके, आप क्या लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टर हैं नॉर्मली?
हाँ जी, मैं लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टर।
और फिलहाल आपको कोई पैसे की जरूरत है?
नहीं, कोई जरूरत नहीं।
Okay. Mayuresh, we've seen a big, move in Pipavav Defense. Actually, Hero Moto is looking to buy some stake over there. But would that be a stock where a long-term investor can remain invested for the long term? And is there anything that's expected from the budget this time?
Afternoon, Sumer. I think clearly the news reports are suggesting of some sort of buy probably happening in Pipavav. But it's too speculative to call at this point of time on what kind of valuations that Pipavav would currently derive and what kind of valuation the investor wants to give Pipavav. If you look at probably the business side, it's a very difficult business to probably get into. So I think the business takes a lot of capex, a lot of time to probably start generating returns. And the exercise of probably building warships and even servicing oil rigs is a very painful exercise, because I think the kind of capex that is involved, the working capital that is involved, the kind of debt that one requires to raise on the books eats away into your profitability margins. And that's what's precisely been happening with Pipavav. As a disclaimer, I think we do not have a research coverage on the stock, so very difficult to give a comment on whether to buy, sell or hold it. But clearly as a play into the defense sector from a long-term fundamental horizon where cash flows would seem seemingly sustainable, I think something like an Ashok Leyland or something like an Larsen & Toubro seem attractive to us, purely based on the fact that MHCV volumes, specifically in the case of Ashok Leyland, should see a rebound. It's got a decent market share of 26%. And again, for Larsen & Toubro, the kind of diversified book that it has got, specifically on heavy engineering, infrastructure, its infotech business, the real estate business, I think all that probably holds in good stead. So I think the focus on the government towards infrastructure reforms, probably towards defense spending, should hold both the stocks like Ashok Leyland and L&T in good stead over the next 12 to 15 months.
All right, then that's a view coming on Pipavav Defense, but the Nifty is on the verge of, in fact, moving into the red. So let's pull up a few stocks. Let's pull up something like an L&T. That stock yesterday, it was showing signs of leadership, but it's coming for profit booking. As I speak, in fact, it cracked that 1700 mark. It's holding around that level. ITC as well should come up for you. That stock, in fact, has been rock solid, but currently, in fact, it's selling off. And even Infosys has come off the high point of the day. And that's really the worry for the Nifty. And that's why we're on the verge of moving into the red. So it's not looking very good. The Bank Nifty as well should come up for you. That one has corrected a goodish bit from the highs of today, and Mahindra & Mahindra joins the selling basket, because that one is down close to around 0.5%, and the 0.5% fall has come just in the last few minutes. Stock is currently moving towards the low point of the day. But Shilpa is with us, and she has a query. Hi, Shilpa.
Hi.
Hi, how can we help you?
हाँ, बोलिए ना।
मैडम, आपका सवाल क्या है?
डेली ट्रेडिंग का।
राइट मैडम।
सर, ये CNBC पे आ रहा ना शो?
यस मैडम।
अभी लाइव नहीं है क्या?
यस मैडम, आप लाइव है। वी आर ऑन एयर राइट नाउ। आपका सवाल क्या है मैडम?
गोदरेज के शेयर थे हमारे पास।
राइट।
340 में लिए वाले।
ओके।
गोदरेज इंडस्ट्रीज।
राइट।
तो वो होल्ड करना चाहिए या क्या, अभी क्या करना चाहिए उसमें?
मैडम, आप लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टर की शॉर्ट टर्म इन्वेस्टर है?
लॉन्ग
टर्म इन्वेस्टर, तो 1 साल के लिए रुक सकते हैं।
1 साल के रुक सकते। क्या टारगेट है फिर भी उसका?
Alright, Mayuresh, she is an investor. She's got a rather large chunk, 2,000 shares for a retail investor at around 340 rupees. She's a long-term investor, so just try to help her out.
Afternoon, Nigel. Clearly, as a disclaimer, again, I think do not officially cover Godrej Industries, though we cover Godrej Consumers. But if you look at the business model of Godrej Industries, it encompasses 3-4 different sorts of businesses. So it's got its consumer business, it's got its real estate business, it's probably got its finance and investments that have showed up its books as well, and probably it's got its chemical business as well. So I think respectively, each of these businesses are doing their own bit. The consumer business probably has shown good traction when it specifically comes to its products like household insecticides, which has shown good growth of around 16% for the quarter gone by. The soaps have seen decent volume growth of around 11%, and even the hair color business has seen decent growth. However, the chemicals business is somewhere where the margins have seen a huge hit, more or less with the kind of inventory losses that one has witnessed with fall in commodity prices and also subdued demand probably coming through. The real estate business probably has held up, and the property launches that one is probably looking at, the one that it launched in Vikhroli, and assuming that a lot of SOPs might come through for the real estate sector overall, probably hold Godrej properties in good stead. So on a consolidated basis, probably I think it needs to encompass all different businesses together. But overall, I think valuations looking a little bit steep, both for industries as well as Godrej consumers. Our view probably for FMCG basket as a whole and as a name, probably from a bottom-up approach, is something like a Tata Global, where the tea coffee business probably is holding up pretty well for them. Again, I think its 8 o'clock business in US has been gathering steam, and its associations with Starbucks and PepsiCo probably will contribute in a significant manner going forward as well. So probably on a valuation basis at 17.5 times FY16, Tata Global probably looks very, very attractive to us. So Tata Global probably remains a preferred pick probably in the FMCG basket.
All right. Up next, we have an email query. Mohini has written to us from Bengaluru. She says she earns about 24,000 rupees a month, and she wants to know which are the mutual funds she should be investing in. She says she's 32 years old and can invest for the long term. Hemant, we don't have a sense of how much money she's looking to invest, but for the long term, what are the funds you'd recommend?
Well, I think the first thing I would like to tell Mohini is that whenever you invest your money, you need to follow investment process, and which fund to invest should be actually the last step. The first step has to be you need to decide what should be your asset allocation, which is how much of your money should go into equity, how much should go into debt, or whether you should be investing some part of the portfolio in gold. Now, the most important factor in deciding your asset allocation is your time horizon. So when you invest for the long term, you should invest in an asset class where you can get higher return even if there is some volatility. The fact that you invest on a monthly basis, the volatility is automatically taken care of. When you invest for the short term, you should be investing in an asset class like debt, and within that you should look at options where you can get tax efficient return. The second step is, as I mentioned, you need to look at the right investment vehicle. So mutual fund definitely is a good investment vehicle because it scores over many others in many aspects. The third is the fund. Here, assuming that she wants to invest for a long term, and also the fact that she has not mentioned anything about her existing investments, so I'm assuming that she's the first time investor, I would recommend a combination of an equity oriented balance fund and a well diversified equity fund. So two funds that she can consider investing is, one is ICICI balance fund, ICICI Pru balance fund, and the other one is IDFC Premier Equity Fund, which is a mix of mid cap and large cap. So I think a combination of these two would be the right to begin her investment process.
Callers already in. So Krishna calls us from Chhattisgarh. He has a personal finance query. Hi Krishna.
Yes sir.
How can we help you? आपका सवाल क्या है?
सर मेरा सवाल है कि मेरे को म्यूचुअल फंड में इन्वेस्ट करना है तो कौन सा ठीक रहेगा और रिटर्न क्या मिलेगा सर?
म्यूचुअल फंड्स में कृष्णा?
हाँ जी सर जी.
आप 1,500 रुपीज इन्वेस्ट करने का.
सर मेरे को आइडिया नहीं है सर इसमें.
All right, I think we've got him on a bit of a scratchy line as well. But Hemant, I believe that he wants to invest close to around $1,500 in mutual funds. Could you help him out? And that's on a monthly basis.
Yeah, I think as I mentioned earlier, in answer to earlier query, I think the important thing for him again would be to look at his time horizon. If he's looking to invest, for a slightly longer period, I mean, ideally I would recommend that he should be having a time horizon of 5 years or more. So if he's looking at that kind of time horizon, he can look at an equity fund. He can look at ICICI Pru Dynamic Plan, which is a kind of asset allocation fund. The fund has been doing pretty well, consistently well. So I think he can start investing with that. The advantage of that is because you invest on a monthly basis. Your major worry as a first-time investor is that, the volatility. And because you invest a fixed amount every month, the volatility is taken care of. One thing also I would like to mention, he mentioned that I think he has some two traditional insurance plan. I would like to mention a bit here that these funds, actually these two plans which he has are actually not an ideal option because these are typically investment cum insurance option. They neither give you the kind of return that you should get for a long-term investment, nor the kind of cover that you should get. So my recommendation would be to maybe make some changes there, look at a term plan, and review whether these plans should be there in his portfolio.